To talk more about Monday's inauguration is Larry Sabato. He is the director of the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia. Larry, great to see you.
Thank you, Fred.
All right, so the president-elect moved this inauguration indoors, saying on his social media, "I don't want to see people hurt or injured in any way," end quote. So inaugurations are almost always, so memorable, largely because of the weather. How will this be remembered in your view now?
Well, it reduces the energy of the event, that's for sure, and it's going to disappoint tens of thousands of people who've spent a lot of money to come to Washington to see Trump sworn in. But you also have to say, Fred, as I think Steve Contorno mentioned, at least somebody has finally learned the lesson of William Henry Harrison, who was 68 years old in 1841, which was old for that day, didn't wear a coat, gave a ridiculously long inaugural address, caught pneumonia, and died 30 days later. So we don't want that to happen again. And Reagan did the right thing in 1985. So, look, it's not going to matter. People won't even remember it in a few days.
Another thing that does make U.S. presidential inaugurations so memorable is because, it does involve the people, whether they're, among the crowd there on the mall, or perhaps they're along the parade route, waving, cheering. That's not going to happen either. Will that absence, in your view, take away from anything?
Well, again, it takes away from the energy of the day. Inaugural days are very memorable for anybody who's there, but also for people watching at home. This is not going to be as interesting. The crowd will be relatively tiny in the rotunda compared to what it would be outdoors. But really, it's more what Trump chooses to say in his inaugural address, and it's more what he plans to do, and it seems like he's going to be doing a great deal in the first 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, in fact, let's talk a little bit and zero in on that if we could. He is planning to put a stamp on his presidency on day one. He plans to sign executive orders involving immigration. He may weigh in again on the TikTok ban. We've already heard some reporting from Steve about the 90-day period. And then he might be weighing in on energy policies. How do you see that day unfolding?
If what they have reported is true, that is the Trump people speaking to some reporters, if it's true that there are going to be about 100 executive orders, well, that's going to cover a lot of subjects. Mostly, I think, immigration, or a good deal of it will be immigration. And again, if reports are true, they've already planned a large raid for undocumented immigrants in Chicago and maybe other places. So they're going to create a lot of headlines. I suspect some of the less well-known executive orders will also be very interesting to people. We'll see what they are. He's going to reverse some of Biden's executive orders, no doubt. That often happens when you have a change of party in the White House. And, they floated a lot of different things. The Ukraine war is supposed to be over within 24 hours of his taking the oath of office. So that the clock is ticking. Somehow I don't think that will happen, but that's just me being cynical.
You mentioned, Inauguration Day does kind of set a tone also, for the presidency overall. I mean, this will, also set a tone, less energy, perhaps, as you mentioned, by it being indoors. But then, if you recall, during his first inauguration, he also set a tone, not just by the executive orders that he, too, signed pretty close to his first day, but the rhetoric, from his speech, this American carnage stops right here and stops right now. What do you expect the writing, the messaging to be during this inaugural speech?
Well, it depends on who's written it to a great degree.
Oh, that's true.
Donald Trump isn't going to listen to anybody's advice, but I really think this is an opportunity to at least strike a few notes of unity if it's possible. Maybe he will, maybe he won't, but it would help him if he did. And his early ratings, whatever they're worth, are considerably higher than they were when he took the oath of office in January 2017. So capitalize on that. I hope that's reflected in the inaugural address, but we'll all find out together.
Yes, we will. All right. On Monday, Larry Sabato, thank you so much.
Thanks, Fred.